Okay, so we've now understood the intuition of the bottom-up approach and how we come up with this grid in the first place. So now we'll try transfer all that into code. And let's just remind ourselves what are the basics. The first basic was if I have a maximum weight of 2 and my item has weight 7, so here the weight is greater than the knapsack, I only drop the response from the previous row. So that's the first instance. And the second instance is, what if my item can actually fit in the knapsack? And I have two comparisons to make. Either take this item from the previous row 11, or I include the item which has a profit of 10, and then I take W steps back, which is 7 steps. So if I take 7 steps back, I end up with 1. So 8 minus 7 gives me to 1, and then I look at the previous row. So it's either 2 plus 10, right, versus 11. So 2 plus 10 is 12, and 12 is the maximum, and that's what you're going to do. So the question for us is, how can we put this in code? And I'll be gradually referring to the grid to see that all through. So in one of the previous videos, we already solved the bottom-up approach. So now I'll just be trying to do the top-down approach. So now we're just replicating this with the bottom-up approach as well. So we just go ahead and say knapsack 2. I'll just give it a similar name. It still takes in the same parameters. So max W, and then we have W, and then we have P. So that's totally okay. Now, the one thing we are very sure about is that the base cases do not change. So I can simply copy the base cases I got from my top-down approach here. And let's just go through them again. When I have no item, so the length of this weights or profits is equal to 0, then I have nothing to return. So I'll only get maximum profit of 0. When I have one item, there's two conditions I have to look at. Can the item fit in my knapsack? If it can, then I return the profit that I can get from that particular item, which is going to be this P of 0. But if the item cannot fit in my knapsack, then I return 0. And then all this is what we're going to replace with the bottom-up approach now. Okay, so let's look at the bottom-up approach. Let's come back to our grid. The one thing we realized from our grid in the previous video as well is that we don't need the full grid to solve for the current row that we're working with. We only need the previous row. So we can just go ahead and say, let me call this previous and let me call this current. Let me just instantiate them all as zeros, because we always know they're going to start as a 0 in the first place. So previous is going to be equal to 0. So I'll just create an array of zeros. And what's the length of that particular array? So every item is going to be 0. And the length of this particular array, and you can see here 1 to 8, which is the maximum weight, plus an extra element there at index 0. So it's going to be maximum weight plus 1, right? So we're always adding one element there. So this is just the shortcut for creating an array of length maximum weight plus 1. So that's fine. So in this instance, we needed an array of length 9 because it's 8 plus 1. And the current, I'm also going to do the same as well. So when we're doing the current, it's still going to be this as we just instantiated at 0 for now, so that we can also just have a base array to work with. And then now we can start my for loop. So how do we start the for loop? So we have two ways to think of the for loop. The first way to think of the for loop here is what is the inner and outer for loop. So I know that when I gradually add a coin, and then when I add not a coin, like an item, and then when I add the item, I start calculating for this index items all through. So it feels like iterating through the maximum weight is going to be my inner column, and the outer column is going to be adding this particular items, right? So the outer column is going to be based on the item. So it's going to be for I in range, what do we want here? It's going to be the length of the items there, and the length of the item is the same as length of W, okay? Because you're going to start with this item on index 0 and then this other item on index 0 and so on and so forth. And that's totally okay. And then the moment we do that, we always know that the first sort of item in this array of mine, which is going to be the current array that I'm solving, is always going to be 0. So I'll always instantiate this as the current array at index 0 should always be equal to 0. That goes without saying. Though we already have the current array at 0, so probably we can do without this, and I'll try commenting it out later on. But let me just put it there for now, because I don't think we'll ever touch index 0. And then after doing that, we'll now start iterating from index 1 till the end of the array, which the end of the array is, maximum weight plus 1, right? So that's going to be the final index for us. not really, the final index is going to be 8, right? But in real sense here, we have to put +1 so that the eighth index can be counted as well. So we'll just do that. So it's going to be for J now, in range, and we are starting from 1 and we're going till max weight +1 so that we can include that final number as well because of the zero indexing as our starter. Okay, so now we're good. And what's the first instance here? The first instance we have, and our first approach was, what if this weight is less than the weight of the knapsack? And we go ahead and say that if the weight of that particular item, and the item is being tracked by index I, so we go ahead and say, like, if the weight of that item is greater than the knapsack, so let me just work with it. So if the weight of that item is greater than the knapsack, and the knapsack is being tracked by J here, so if the weight of that item is greater than J, right, then what do? We just make sure that whatever is in the current at position, and here we're trying to look at position J because that's what the current is being iterated through with the maximum weight. So that's going to be the current at J has to be equal to the previous at J as well. So the previous at J, we're also iterating the previous with that. So I just need to drop. So when I'm trying to solve for 2, I'm dropping this 2 from the previous array there as well. So the previous at J. Cool. So that's the first one. And then the L scenario is going to be, we solve A, and we have 2 scenarios that we're trying to maximize. And the first scenario is, let's say here at this particular position, the first scenario, if we just consider the previous array there. So it's going to be previous J. Okay, so that's the first instance. Or we include the coin, not the coin, the item. So if we include the item, we'll take the profit of the item, and the item is being tracked by I. So let's keep that in mind. So it's going to take like the profit of I, and then we're going to add that to the previous. We're going to look at the previous row. Previous is being tracked by J, but then we have to take, here we had to take 7 steps back, and the steps is going to be equal to the weight of the item here. So it's going to be the weight, and the weight is being tracked by I here as well. So minus the weight of the item. And what I have to put in my current position, which is going to be my current position J, right? Because that's what we're doing, is simply going to be the maximum of A or B. Okay, that's fine. And then the moment I'm done with this sub for loop, because I only want to save 2 arrays at a go, I have to go ahead and make my previous to be equal to my current. And then I continue with my loop, and so on and so forth. And the moment both loops are done, I can go ahead and return the last element of my current array, which is going to be -1. Okay, so let's look at this. These numbers are very similar to what we had in the grid, 1, 3, 5, 7, and then we have 2, 4, 7, 10. Let's just compare the first function, which was the knapsack top-down approach. Does it give us 12, which is this final number here? And let's look at that. If I run that, we actually do get a 12. So the top-down approach was right, and we had already confirmed that. So now all I have to do is switch this function to this as well. And let's see whether it's working or whether we have anything to debug here. And if I switch to that, does it also give us a 12? And yes, it does give us a 12. So we've been able to solve this problem with the top-down and bottom-up approach. And in the bottom-up approach, we realize that we're just trying to use the intuition we got from this grid. The only difference is we're not saving the entire grid. We just need the previous row to compute the current row. So you don't have to save the full grid, and that's why we keep this switching all through. And that's it on the 0-1 knapsack top-down and bottom-up approach now complete.